Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful and resilient, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda.
All right, good evening, people. How are you? We're heaps of people down. We're
Stop the Rod hasn't gone.
Stop the Rod hasn't.
And Guru was the inside is out.
Yeah, so they're playing games, guys. But anyway, that's there's plenty of games to be played. Okay, so that's where we are. It's getting very, very yeah, Erica, that's a good thing. I've got that here, yeah. But anyway, that's in there, guys. Have a look at that little note there from Erica about the smart meters, guys. Okay, so looks like we've got people turning up tomorrow, the 5 abscondees from the vote, guys, or from the inquiry. Will be turning up tomorrow, so that will be interesting tomorrow to see what these guys have got to say. Be careful looking at your smartwatch whilst in your car, because they are now targeting people looking at their smartwatches, and it is a $600-odd fine. You know, nothing's changing, guys. Just every day there's something else. Now, I've been looking around today, having a bit of time, and you know, a couple of weeks ago, guys, or maybe even longer, time flies when you're having fun. But you would all know, because you're all up to it. But I want to give you the scenario, what happens here, and we can have a bit of a think about this, you know, when you're doing whatever you're doing. But you know, we had the completion of a train line from Iran, Russia, China, Syria. I think it's involved, a couple other countries there. Now, this takes away a lot of power from the deep state, guys. All right, because you know what do they got us on at the moment? It's the OPEC deals, it's the oils. You know what I mean? They're controlling the whole. So if you don't know the Panama Canal, and you've got this half of the world up there, there's actually put in a big pipeline, and they're all going to be self-sufficient. That puts a splitting block right down the middle. Now, Trump's over there playing the hero at NATO and getting all the accolades, this, that, and the other. But I think he's in a very precarious situation now, because NATO really have nothing else to do but to act on that supply line. So they do have the upper hand to keep pushing this NATO. What I think they are short on, and we are short on, guys, is this. I don't think that there's enough, like, actual, what do you call it, ammunition these are like $1 million bombs and stuff, so this is still a lot of fear mongering, but there is a possibility that if NATO step on that oil line, that wouldn't be good. Okay, it really wouldn't be good. So it's going to be very interesting what's coming up in the next few weeks, I would well imagine, And then when I got in the studio, Caz said, "Oh, you mentioned that." She's got something in there from Gene Ho about Zeppelin's guys, which was, new trade route. That's right, Jeff. And they don't need, that puts out of play that other route that they want to take up through the Nix of the Panama Canal up there. So it shuts down a lot of their plays, right, to actually keep their monopoly on the game. So, guys, we expected this to get, and it's about to get crazy, because as I can see it from looking around, there's only a few moves that NATO and the deep state can make, really. So let's see how it goes. All right, quickly around the traps, guys. We've got apparently just love their fear mongering, MSM. Thousands of cats drop dead in Cyprus as killer virus sparks fears of a jump to humans. They just do not give up, guys. It's just like, oh man, I'll tell you. Doesn't matter anything. Did I just knock myself out the show?
No.
Okay. All right. So here's another one. Doctors at Westmead. I just want to put a shout out to Ryan Park. Been keeping me on your health system, Ryan, and you're in shambles, mate. You need to get your act together, all right, because our health system here in New South Wales, as well as every other state, is an absolute shambles, and you need to really get your act together or get out of that job. I'll tell you, if us people worked in our companies or businesses or whatever we had and gave the same results as what these politicians gave, mate, you'd never get another customer back in your life, would you? So the fear porn's on, guys. They're going to keep pushing it, all right? Now, we're supposed to be, we already pay 2% or something. I heard they want that up to 3.5 for defensive costs. I mean, Albo, get your shit together, mate. But anyway, we know you're playing your part. Come in whenever you're ready, Caz, because this is looking more like a scripted movie, but the end result could go a couple of ways, Caz. This is not a good... it is a good scenario because we need to do this to depower NATO and the cabal, etc. Oh, man.
You just cut out then.
Okay. Am I up now?
Yeah. Just repeat the last bit.
I'm just saying this could get very, very hot under the collar because, it's sort of like getting down to if they split, bang, and these guys are self-sufficient up here, a big move has to be made or give up. That's the way I see it.
It's interesting that you should say that because I've got a few things that I've put together to show that how it's scripted. I tried to explain it last night. I did a terrible job, so I've actually got stuff that's can do it. But look, let's get through some local news first. First of all, we got Jody Lowe.
Right. Just arrived up here to Bluewater, and it's so cool to see. Hello, how you going? Sorry, I'm just making sure you were. I see the shirt, and I'm like, no, you're right. You're happy to be in the. You're happy to be in there. Yep. Well, I think it's fair to say we've got a lot of people here signing and sharing some knowledge, so that is great. Hello, everybody. What do you got? Having a nice bevy?
Wow, that's so special. We'll never have this moment again. No,
be a part of it, guys. Get involved, man, because and look, as I said, we're going to have to keep rolling on from here, guys. This is a marathon to take them down, okay? But we're doing all the right things, okay? And a lot of more people are sort of getting behind what Jody's tried to instigate there. It's getting a lot more airtime, more people getting involved, So let's just do it. Let's get the relay done. Let's back Jody, back whoever's in on it. And, help out, guys. And then we'll move on to the next thing, because we're going to have something else, I can assure you. These guys are just rolling it on. They're rolling it on hard.
And look, even Darren Hinch, he's basically talked about how he used to think Adelaide was bad, and now he thinks Melbourne's worse.
No. It was morally
Darren.
wrong. And I'd always, when I was doing the Hinge program on 7, I used to refer to Adelaide as Suppression City because I used to suppress all the names. But then in recent times, Melbourne overtook Adelaide. More names were suppressed in Melbourne than ever were in Adelaide. And when I did this jail not bail campaign, it was very real. That's why I was shocked recently when the Premier made it sound like it was something new. I mean, we've been pushing for this for bloody years.
He's talking
He
about
doesn't
the
look good.
pedophiles.
Well, old Darren, yeah, I know. Yeah. He doesn't look good. But
So-
yeah, he's,
Interesting that he should say that. Like, I mean, you know, it's just, it's crazy. But and that's because they're very busy with other things that are very important. You know, like you've got this guy, he was sacked. I cannot believe this. A street sweeper has been sacked for objecting to the acknowledgement of country. So it was being done at the start of every weekly toolbox meeting.
wow. Wow.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the good thing about it is there's a lot of more people that are waking up, jumping on board. Sam Newman is one of them.
What did you think about the government being sprung for not relying on the medical evidence about the Victorian government locking down the state for COVID? Nothing to do with medical advice. They just decided to lock it down. The most.
I would be very concerned, but I did read that headline.
Yeah.
Surely every small business that's gone under. What sort of case would they have now to have a class action?
That will be
because
the science.
But the amount of businesses that have gone under, the amount of people that have gone, well, I assume there'd be people that have gone homeless since.
Suicides, bankruptcies,
everything.
People not getting educated because of bloody-mindedness by the most dishonest and corrupt government ever in the history of the world. Didn't trust the science, just bloody-mindedly shut down the state.
Did you have the jabs?
Well, only because you couldn't go anywhere.
Did you have the jabs, Sheeds? So we all had them because we were bribed. You know what? We're bribed to have them. We're bribed. We're told you will not be able to work or you will not be able to do anything if you don't have the.
And it was all bogus. They trusted not the science. They just
and you fell for it.
Dictatorial government, just a disgrace.
Well,
someone
the point
just
is
put
though
up
that
there. Sorry, someone just we got a bit of lag. Someone just put up there. Darren pushed it. They all pushed the friggin' thing. The only smart people in this country are you people out there on the end of this friggin' screen that have been here for a long time. Sorry, or found me, or whatever. Found me and Caz. Because everyone else is a dead set fuck knuckle. They took it and they pushed it. And now look at them.
But it doesn't matter. People are waking up and speaking up about things. So it really doesn't matter. And there's a lot to speak up about. Like, so, I think that we just basically, we welcome them on board because you've got this situation where they're going to send 100 of our soldiers to the Ukraine. Freaking 100 of our soldiers. Isn't that just the most outrageous thing? And then you've got the push for the police to be able to access your home CCTV remotely. Like, it's just outrageous, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got the mayor in Sydney, and she's banning gas. Anyway, but
Clover.
a lot of Australians are speaking. Clover, that's right. And a lot of Australians are speaking up. You've got this guy doing it even.
Oh, so it happened again. Another conspiracy theory comes true. They've banned gas stoves, gas appliances and stuff down in Sydney. So it kicks in at the end of the year, I think the 31st of December. You can't install gas appliances in, I believe it's residential premises and businesses, right? You can't cook with gas. We can't even say the old saying, cooking with gas anymore because you can't. And the most ridiculous thing is that the electricity grid is under so much pressure and you're putting more and more strain on it with more and more electric vehicles, more and more electric stoves. The diversity is the key, right? We need diversity. We need diversity in our energy system. That way we're taking pressure off the grid. We're taking, if we've got electric stoves, you're not using as much gas. You got gas, you're not using as much electric, right? You share it around. We need to be using a diverse sources of electricity and energy to power our lives and to push us into the future. And here we are banning, I can't believe it, banning in the state of New South Wales, in the city of Sydney, we're banning gas, right? We are the number one supplier of gas all around the world. We supply more gas than anybody else. We get to keep bugger all of it for ourselves. So like the coal, we're going to be mining it, but we're not going to be able to benefit from it ourselves, right? And the gas companies are some of the biggest tax evaders in Australia. So we're not getting any tax from them, and now we can't even burn our own gas. How ridiculous.
Well, it's not ridiculous because Albo has already told us that you can put your solar panels on your roof and charge your car overnight. So we can just put solar panels on the roof and we can have our electricity going at night on our burners. There you go. The Prime Minister's told you what the solution is.
Well, now around the world, we've got a lot of really interesting things happening, and they don't seem to make sense. You've got this happening in Alabama.
We got some heat conditions over there, Caz. It's hot, man. Or they're saying it's hot. I haven't spoke to anyone, actually.
Yeah, you've got this laser thing going there. Now, they also had like what looked like on another radar that I saw, an explosion that looked like it happened. So very interesting, very strange things happening. You've also got this happening. This is in Gijal. And here's another one where they've just completely washed away.
Yeah, I've seen the live feed over there. It's pretty horrendous, man.
Shopping centre.
Yeah. Cars going through the shopping centre.
Yeah, but it's not just in Gijal, it's also in India. And what's interesting is that China has weather weapons, we know for a fact. We're assuming India does. And yet this was not stopped. So it's very, it's extremely strange. I
don't know if that one's another green screen, Patricia, because I was watching some lives where that was happening. I can show you some green screen ones if you want about, over there in the so-called, Ukraine and that, which you can pick out very easily that people are acting and playing their part. But, I don't know about that one. I was watching a few live feeds. We'll find out in the next 24 hours or so.
That's India, but they are subject to the El Nino. So what I find strange is the Chinese ones. So very interesting things that are going on.
Oh, look, we expect this, guys. All right, we have been so blessed at the moment. Even all the tragedy and heartache we've been through in this country, guys, for what we're seeing in those countries that have really, by the spiritual side of things, turned their back and hooked up with an evil entity. We are watching them get hammered. Okay, that's what we're watching, guys. But next week. Well, we're told that, but let's see what happens, guys. All right, we're not going to go with the fear porn, but we'll watch. Everyone should be on high alert. If that mile-long volcano does go on the out in the Pacific out there, we will see some sort of ramification over here. I don't think, for where it's located, I don't think we'll see as much as what maybe some people are saying. But Anyway, we got to deal with what comes our way, guys. This is where we are. You are in and part of history. Never ever have the world been where it is now. Never will.
Well,
be
that's it.
again.
And we complain about it, Karen, but the German police are just as bad because Peter Sweden is reporting that they have raided the homes of 170 people early this morning for hate speech. This is including people that insulted their politicians.
All these politicians just need rounding up and just getting out of office, mate. You know, we could fill those offices up there pretty quick, Caz. No, no more lobbyists, no more nothing. Just a serious discussion on how we can get our country back into the hands of the Australian people. Deport everyone that we want to deport that come in here illegally under Albo's Airbuses, etc., etc. You know.
Well, that's, look, we've got a lot of interesting stuff coming along. Now, I put together a series of video clips that I want to walk everybody through because I explained that we're in a movie, but I didn't do it really well. This person does it really well. This is the final act, okay? So listen to this and then I'll show you some more other things as well.
So here's one thing I want to
now she's a professional Hollywood writer.
Tell you there's an observation that I've made that the White Hats have done on purpose, and that is that they've had audience A, which I believe we call the normies, and audience B, which I would believe us. And the reason why I think that we are annoyed to a certain extent with this movie is because Q gave us kind of the script already. We already have seen the movie in a way. We've already emotionally arrived at many of the places that we are waiting for our friends, colleagues, loved ones, spouses, whatever to get to. And when you run into people who don't want to hear what you have to say, it's like, have you ever been to the movies with someone that's already seen the movie? Do you want them to tell you how it ends? Do you want them to tell you how the next big event is going to happen? No. You paid for the movie. That's the experience you want to go to. The audience, in order to be able to believe on both sides, on us too, because I think at some point the writers of this movie are going to bring both audiences together and we're going to be rooting for the same team. But right now we're not. But we have to believe that the enemy has unleashed everything onto his villain or onto his defeat, or, the hero. We know some of the things that the enemy has in his quiver, and they're horrible. The normies are just starting to see that. They have to get to a point through this part of the third act to where that enemy unleashing all he has on the field. Because if he doesn't, then it doesn't feel believable when the hero defeats him. And on the other hand, the hero has to defeat him with something that we never really saw coming, but when we think back, oh yeah, that made sense. Oh yeah, he did talk about that. Oh yeah, he did possess that skill, and we kind of blew it off. But it's got to be something that we really are like, wow, that was brilliant. We never really saw that coming. That's the only thing he could have done to defeat the enemy in order for us to believe it. Otherwise, we're like, that's really vapid. So I just think about what we've learned, what we know, what we've heard about what Trump is doing, kind of hinting at, might give us an idea that we're going to be in for one hell of a wild ride, guys. And people have to be willing to understand that if we find out that they are willing to go through what they did to try to kill 8 billion people, what is the climax going to look like where we're nail biting? And here's where I think the change is going to happen when they bring the two audiences together. And that is when the normies finally realize, and I think they've done this on purpose and not doing this and letting them go through what they're going through to reach this, when they finally realize that the people that they have been rooting for and separating their families over and everything are the very people, the evil people that they think are the heroes, and they realize that's actually the enemy, that's when they're going to be really, really, they're going to be cheering for Trump louder than we are. And that's when we finally, I think, are going to be at the same point. And once that reveal happens, then we're going on the climax ride, folks, because they have to bring everybody together to be cheering.
So you have that. And what's interesting about, did you want to comment on that, Dave, before we move on?
Just on some comments in there, that lays it out pretty well. That says exactly what us people should be able to sit here and understand if you're on that thinking line. If you're not, that might give you another perception. But a couple of comments there, which was about the 4th of July. And I have seen a couple of things about Independence Day, guys, where there has been some forecast and some premonition of, some pretty horrible stuff on the 4th of July. But, we can't live by the fear porn, guys. All right, we got to expect the worst and pray for the best, okay? But yeah, in the States, there's apparently a few. But look how many years we've been having dates for. I know it's getting near the crescendo, but I mean, we've been getting dates for years, guys. And really, the only people that have been right with dates is Q.
That's only, and you can't blame the anons, because they were just basically decoding, and they would figure something out and they'd put it out there. Yeah. But what would actually happen is that would come and go. But when you look at it in hindsight, everything lines up. And Trump doesn't even care now. We're going to get to that in a minute. He's just basically putting it out there. Now, she gave a few key points there. And one of the key points was the disclosure, and that's coming, and it's already happening. And this is Kash Patel with regards to the FBI and the 2020 election.
FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino reacted today to a story we broke here on the show a week ago. It was exactly a week ago today we broke this story that the FBI had in 2020 significant intelligence showing that China may have been trying to hijack the 2020 election, interfere, try to help Joe Biden get elected by using fake driver's licenses to get Chinese residents on U.S. soil to file fake mail-in ballots during the 2020 election, all for Joe Biden. Now, we gave you that story. We told you what was in it. We actually gave you the text of the intelligence report because we obtained it.
FBI Director Kash Patel has provided Congress with declassified documents saying the Chinese Communist Party may have interfered in the 2020 elections. Kash posted on X saying the FBI has located documents which detail alarming allegations related to the 2020 U.S. election, including allegations of interference by the CCP. I have immediately declassified the material and turned the documents over to the Chairman Grassley for further review. And according to Kash, in statements to Just the News, he said, quote, specifically, these include allegations of plans from the CCP to manufacture fake driver's licenses and ship them into the United States for the purpose of facilitating fraudulent mail-in ballots. Allegations which, while substantiated, were abruptly recalled and never disclosed to the public. Now, allegations on CCP interference in the 2020 U.S. elections is not new. Back in 2021, former Director of National Intelligence and current CIA head John Ratcliffe stated in a letter to Congress that, quote, based on all available sources of intelligence, with definitions consistently applied and reached independent of political consideration or undue pressure, the People's Republic of China sought to influence the 2020 U.S. federal elections. Details on all of this are still thin.
We'll leave that there. So you have that coming out. You also have the Dr. Jan Harper Hayes. She was talking about the Brunson case and the NDA that he's under and what happened during the military march. So, which is very interesting from her perspective. You also have, now Rubber Ducky's put this out, but you've got stuff like this coming, like it's always been there. We always knew about it, but the thing is it's coming, it's gathering more traction now. And this is with regards to Seth Rich. So one day after the assassination of Seth Rich, the DNC paid CrowdStrike $98,000. Okay. 1 month later, Seth Rich's friend, Sean Lucas, who was a DNC process server and served the DNC with an election fraud suit, was found dead. 1 day later, the DNC paid CrowdStrike $113,000. So you've got the connection between Podesta, the DNC, the CrowdStrike, and Trump's perfect call, the Ukraine. So, and then also now Donna Brazil, she's a DNC staffer, or she might be an actual elected. I'm not quite sure. So he asked the question: did Donna Brazil and DNC hire 2 undocumented MS-13 mercenaries to kill Seth Rich on July 10, 2016? That the DC Mayor Muriel Bowser covered up. And then, of course, because there were 2 MS-13s found dead the next day. So it was, and also remember that Seth Rich didn't die at the scene. He actually died at the hospital. But both Donna Brazil and Bowser went to the mystery hospital that night to check on the condition of Seth Rich. So you've got all of this sort of stuff that's creeping up to the surface.
Something you just creeped into the chat was a lady just put in there, and man, if you got evidence on this, because I would love it, all right, because this is one guy that I've thought has sort of been pretty good, was Kim Clement, but you're going to label him as a false prophet. I'm not saying he's not, and I'm not saying you're not correct, but if you have the evidence and the research, I'd love to have you come on the show for 10 or 15 minutes and present it, or get it to us, and I'll present it if it's true, but I want the evidence, you know, because, I always thought Kim Clement was pretty well on board, you know. I don't know. This is crazy. Yeah. But anyway, if you have that information, I would love it, or love you to come on and give us your interpretation of why Kim Clement, because a lot of people have followed that guy and look at what he's done, and, you know. So, yeah, this is what we need. If, you know, information goes around, people can then make up their own decisions.
Now, one of the things that you put in a movie is you have a light moment, you know, a comedy moment. And I'm thinking this is in the midst of everything, you actually provide a bit of light comedies for people. And I think this is it.
And the president looks over at me, puts the foreign leader on mute and says, "This is not going very well," and he presses the red button. And my eyes get really big, and I'm like, "Mr. President, you know, what just happened?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Nuclear." Nuclear. And 2 minutes later, a guy walks in with a Diet Coke, and he looks back at me and he says, "It wasn't nuclear, it's just the Diet Coke button." And that's... So that's the kind of guy, and my fellow Republicans, that we have as the President of the United States.
Yeah, bit of comedy.
It is.
I honestly, Kathy, if you've done this, just give me a look at it. I haven't got the time to do that, darling. Seriously, I haven't. You know what I mean? This is why we ask you people to get involved. You know, if you know stuff, give us a 2-minute, 3-minute clip. You know, give us the stuff and we'll put it on the show. But I haven't got the time to go spending tomorrow on Kim Clement, you know what I mean, to chase him down all day. I haven't.
That's it. Now, what's also happening at the moment is that Trump's just basically telling us. He's verifying Q. With everything. First of all, you've got the central casting comments.
I actually had breakfast today with a king and a queen who were beautiful, beautiful people. Central casting, I must say. Very nice. We had a great time. I had breakfast this morning with the king and queen, and they're incredible people. I said, "You're central casting. Beautiful people, great people, big, beautiful heart."
Like, he's just basically telling us, you know, and then you've got this one as well, where he's basically, who sets up to bomb somebody and then rings them beforehand and goes, "Oh, by the way, do you mind if we bomb you and just get all your people out of the way?"
14 missiles were shot at us the other day, and they were very nice. They gave us warning. They said, "We're going to shoot them. Is 1 o'clock okay?" They said, "It's fine." And everybody was emptied off the base, so they couldn't get hurt except for the gunners. They call them the gunners. And out of 14 high-end missiles that were shot at the base in Qatar, all 14, as you know, were shot down by our equipment. Amazing stuff. Amazing that they can do. It's like shooting a bullet with a bullet. It's the same thing if you think about it. 14 out of 14, and they weren't even that surprised. I said, "Do you do that well often?" They said, "We pretty much do, sir." The Ukraine crisis has also highlighted the urgency of rebuilding.
You have that, and then you have him talking the scum comment as well. Oh, yeah.
This was an unbelievable hit by genius pilots and genius people in the military, and they're not being given credit for it because we have scum that's in this group, and not all of you are. You have some great reporters, but you have scum. CNN is scum. MSDNC is scum. The New York Times is scum. They're bad people. They're sick. And what they've done is they tried to make this unbelievable victory into something less. Now, even they admit that it was hit very hard, okay? But it wasn't hit hard. It was hit brutally, and it knocked it out. The original word that I use, I guess it got us in trouble because it's a strong word. It was obliteration. Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt. Now, when I say corrupt, I'm talking about totally corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. When I get back at the Oval Office, I will totally obliterate the deep state.
Well,
So he-
yep. Yeah, you're right, go.
No, you comment on that.
I was just going to say, well, you put yourself in there now, after, the NATO meeting and what we've got happening up in the Northern Hemisphere there with their own oil supplies and that. It's on now. It's game on, mate. He's right in the middle and he's got some friggin' big decisions to make.
Yeah, but if you were writing it as a movie, what would happen is it would all play out, and so that it all she's right, it would all converge. So there's something comes that we don't even see coming, and he manages to defeat the demon somehow. So, but with the oil, what I did want to play though with that was also Gene Ho's comment, which is interesting.
All right, more spooky dooky timing stuff for you. This time we're going to talk about Zeppelins and George Magazine about 6 months ago. Besides a Zeppelin up there, I know it's selfie style, but you can see that we talked about Zeppelins. That was about 6 months ago. Even further back when we did the George calendar, very interesting, and this one's spooky too. The first picture had a Zeppelin, and if you remember, going back to December 31st, who knew? Lightning hit Washington, D.C. Now, here's the thing. Why is it that no one's been talking about Zeppelins for 75 years? Okay, other than Led Zeppelin. Love the music. But what did Fox News just say a month ago? They started talking about Zeppelins again. And the interesting thing about it, some of them are even in productions doing test flights. Now, why does this matter with us today and with Trump and everything? Because Iran just threatened to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Now, here's the thing. If they shut it down, you can't get oil through. But think about this, the Panama Canal and everything. Zeppelins don't need ports. They don't need straits. They don't need railroad tracks. They just go up and float cargo in the air. So you might very well see a resurgence of Zeppelins.
Very interesting.
Very
interesting.
Yeah, right out of left field. Right out of left field, that one. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, it is. I agree. I agree with you. So, look, just before we go, I want to play the convoy details. So I'll just bring that in now.
Okay.
And the details for the Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra parade are as follows. It's Thursday, the 26th of June, Cairns and the Northern Converge on Townsville. Friday, the 27th of June, 7 a.m, Townsville to Serena. Friday the 27th of June, 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m, Serena to North Rockhampton. Saturday the 28th of June, 6 a.m, Rockhampton Caves to Gympie. Saturday the 28th of June, 1 to 5, Gympie to Toowoomba. Friday the 4th of July, 7 a.m, Plainlands Mobile to Armidale. Friday the 4th of July, 1:30 p.m. to 5 p.m, Armidale to Singleton. Friday the 4th of July, 7 a.m, Gold Coast to Singleton. Saturday the 5th of July, 7 a.m, Singleton to Pheasants Nest. And Saturday the 5th of July, 2 to 4:30 p.m, Pheasants Nest to Canberra at Epic. All small towns will be stopped along the way and lunch is also organised en route. And Jackie Dundee will lead the march north. Friday the 4th of July at 11 a.m, Albury BP truck stop in Lavington, they will be leaving. Friday the 4th of July between 1 and 3:30 p.m, they will drive from Albury to Wagga. On Saturday the 5th of July at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m, they will drive from Wagga to Canberra. And the Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra parade also has the opportunity to sponsor someone. If you cannot make it, then please pop along and sponsor someone. And in the 125th year recognition of our Constitution signing and power, we the people give it, the Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra poses the question, if the politicians aren't swearing an oath to uphold the Constitution, then who are they really working for?
They ain't working for us.
No, they're not.
We show you that every night.
And just two other quick things. This is really inspiring. This is Syrian Christians declaring that Jesus Christ is Lord.
That's cool.
And the other thing I wanted to talk about too was I just wanted to read this out because it's actually really, really important. So a company of men from the power company were checking somebody's property, and after talking to them, they found out that it would benefit us to place a private lock onto the electric meter box that have the option of doing private reads. They have the option of doing private reads. So many of us have opted out of having smart meters on our property. However, the bastards won't stop there. Well, we know that. And we have not had 2 years to fight for it. So contacted their provider, Origin, and all they need to do is contact Endeavour Energy and ask them for a form to conduct our own private meter readings. So that's really handy and useful information.
Yep, and that will probably go for a little while, guys, and then I'll creep it in and start and tie up the news. So that was in the Illawarra area of a lady I do know, sent it over to me. So for you people in the Illawarra especially, start pushing here, but start pushing in your areas too, guys.
That's it. All right, so guys, we're being taken out by the T-Man F-Bomb remix. It's hilarious. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But please note that it's you'll probably want to block your kids' ears. So any kids, good night. You're not hearing the outro, so go to bed now. And Dave, if you want to wrap up, I shall hit play.
Okay, well, yeah, that's on one side of the coin. And here I am about to say, Patricia Oakey put in a comment in there, just about, Trump's no God in this, and I've said this 1,000 times, he's not, guys. The best advice I could give you, who's going to save you? You. All right? And all you got to do is accept a ticket. All right? I might have to do that song for us one night, actually. You just got to accept a ticket, guys. It's a train to Jordan. You don't need no ticket. You just get on board. It's acceptance of God. Jesus. So hang on, I got bikes coming past. But anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to say, guys. You are going to save yourself. And if you already have a relationship with Jesus Christ, you're saved. So what's coming is only a little bit of physical hurt, guys, but the good times are around the corner. Why? Because you are the people that have done the right thing. You are the army of the Lord. So see you tomorrow night. Caz is going to have a night off tomorrow night. I've let her have a night off. Nice bloke I am. And me and Wade are going to come on and rev yous all up. So there you go. See you tomorrow night, folks. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Good night.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that? You understand that? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that? You understand that? They violated it, but Israel violated it too. Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs like I've never seen before. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when they say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. The biggest load that we've seen. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that? You understand that? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You You understand that? You understand that? So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, it didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You understand that? Raise your voice! You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that? You understand that? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that?